Hello, and welcome to the next episode, Learn, Grow, Do, Repeat with Jamie Totino. So today I'm joined by a very, very, very good friend of mine. I said it 3 times, so it's really important. A very good friend of mine who lives on the other side of the country, but he's on a mission to teach and pay it forward. He's an entrepreneur who's achieved huge success in his own right, and on the coming from a space where it wasn't so pleasant, and he's had to go through a lot of his own trials and tribulations to get to where he is now. And I've got a lot of respect for what he's been able to do because of that. After a very successful sales career, he transitioned into some of the incredible work he's doing now. And his really core value and key mission is to really be able to pass it on and give it back. Someone that I've got tons and tons of respect for, like I said earlier, and I do classify as a really good friend of mine. We have the amazing and the incredible Moses Marrion. Welcome, buddy. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Jamie. Look, I really appreciate that you've decided to have a chat with me and that we can share some time together and discuss anything business, personal growth, self-development. So really appreciate your time, and I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. Well, guys, this is a really important person that I have in my life, and someone I've got a lot of respect for and look up to as well. So I'm sure you'll get a lot out of this episode, importantly. But Moses, we're going to get stuck straight into rapid fire. All I told you prior was that we're going to do rapid fire, but I didn't tell you what the questions are.
That's right. Cool. I love it.
So it could be a bit of a couple of surprise ones for you. We've got about 22 questions. Quick questions, quick answers. Are you ready?
Yes, let's go.
Let's do it. Favorite song right now?
Probably Wolves by Post Malone.
Wolves.
Yeah.
Okay. Favorite song to get pumped up to?
I like... That's so hard. You give me such a hard one.
It's only the second question. Come on, man.
Yeah, dude. I have so many songs. I'll probably say it's the Eminem one. I can't remember the title now. It's like I listen to it all the time. What's the one? When your arms are spaghetti and your legs get sweaty. That one. What's the name of the song? It's just gone blank in me.
You can sing the whole song. Doesn't know the name of it. All right, Eminem. We'll roll with that one. Your favorite movie?
Pay It Forward. That's one of my favorite movies.
Pay It Forward.
Yeah.
Favorite book?
All right. Now, well, man, honestly, this is a quick one, but Man's Search for Meaning. I literally got onto that. That book just jumped to the top so quickly. It's fresh on my mind and it's amazing, that one.
Man's Search for Meaning. Favorite color?
Purple.
Purple. Makes sense why your banners and your branding's purple. Go-to meal?
Sorry?
Go-to meal?
It's got to be Mum's chili chicken. Some
chili chicken.
Chili for the Indian side of me, mate.
I guess the most important part there was Mum's chili chicken, not just any chili chicken. It has to be Mum's.
Yeah, it has to be Mum's.
Oh, okay. Favorite TV show?
I don't really have any, man. I never really watched TV.
I'm not going to let it slide that easy, man. You got to give me something.
Criminal Minds. There was a point where I used to watch that.
Criminal Minds, love it. First job?
Sales, real estate agent. That was my first proper job.
Sales. I love it. Your biggest celebrity / sporting idol growing up?
Kobe Bryant, Vince Carter. It's hard to pick between the two.
Kobe and Vince. They are pretty cool guys.
Yeah.
Love it. One thing that you hate, Moses, or dislike, and you can't say coriander?
I don't, people that victimize themselves. I like people to take responsibility whenever I hate passing the buck or passing the blame. So that's bigger for me.
Yeah. Take ownership. I like it. Funniest or craziest thing you've done?
Dude, this is I'll say it since we're friends and you got this show on. Like when I was selling properties, there was a point where when you do your home open run, you've got a weekend, you go do like 10 to 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. Sometimes you just have like, I'll eat something that mom makes, and sometimes it's you got to go to the bathroom and you got no time. You got like back-to-back home open. And I can't believe I'm sharing this with you, but obviously that you must be a really good host to just bring this out of me.
Absolutely.
Point where I need to rush off to the bathroom somewhere between this home open and the next. So you like rush into Macca's, get it done. And then you rush into, and then everyone's like, what's going on here? You're late for the home open. You're like, oh shit, I got stopped by the cops. I was speeding. You just make up some shit as you get there. So that's some of the funny stuff. Like I remember there's so many more, but I remember in my head, I was like, man, this is a crazy job because no one plans for this.
100%.
What we do. And you don't want to use like the house because it's like, what if someone comes in? You know what I mean?
Someone's about to go and spend a couple $1 million on a property and there's Moses using the bathroom.
And the Indian agent's taking a shit.
Oh, love it. That's going to be one of my favorite answers to that particular question.
Yeah.
And I love it. You like, just get into Macca's, got to get it done. Just get it
Yeah,
done.
man. Yeah, because you gotta go pick up something quickly. I was like, it's probably clean. I need something safe. I need something. It's the drive-through mentality. Your anchor in your mind is in and out, right?
Yeah, totally. Quick and easy Macca's. I love it. I don't even really know what to write on my piece of paper for that. Like, what do I write? I don't think I'll ever forget that one. I love it. I love
efficiency. Shit efficiency.
time management. Love it.
That is
Good. Book or audio book?
Book.
Book. Summer or winter?
Winter.
Ooh. I would have thought Perth, maybe, you know, loving the sun. What is something, Moses, that you haven't done yet that you really want to do, though?
Go to America, watch an NBA basketball game live.
NBA.
Yeah.
Love it. Sum up your mindset in one word.
Grit.
Proudest moment personally and proudest moment professionally.
Personally, man, I think just being able to keep going forward in as challenges comes up. I always I feel like there's nothing that can really stop me. So that's something I'm proud of on a personal level. And professionally, from a real estate point of view, just getting up to consistent levels at achieving top 5 status in terms of sales with the team that we're working on with, and then
Awesome.
it's just ability to deliver results to clients. Really, that's
Yeah,
it.
good. I like that, man. I like that. Moses, tell us something that no one knows about you.
Something that no one knows about. That's a lot of stuff, man. Why did you ask that as well? I was talking to a guy recently about imagine if you had a camera follow you your whole life because of all the polarity going on between Biden and Trump. I was like, it's hard to judge people if they were followed the whole time. But something that they don't know about me, I'm very quiet. Like people, I'll put it this way. I'll give you the statement. I was social distancing before it was. I'm serious. Like I was just this. My girlfriend used to say to me, she's like, "You just don't talk." I don't know how we actually communicated when I first met you because you spoke to me for like 2 or 3 words, and then apart from that, it's nothing. So people always take like at events or when I run events or speak on stage or do a podcast, people are like, "Man, this guy, he can talk. He's confident in that sense." But no, when I'm in my personal space, I'm like quiet.
In your zen.
Yeah. So that's probably what people don't know from the public view. Yeah.
Good. Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that. Moses, what's been your greatest failure? Now you can substitute failure for any other word that, you know, is best for you, but what's been your greatest failure, mistake, learning, whatever, that's ended up being your best lesson and your best learning?
It would be when I did a lot of self-development, but in my life, I find that you always got to change the way you look at things, obviously. And I had that understanding and I would apply it a lot, but sometimes it'd be like something super huge would happen. I'd be like, man, this one's tough, and you feel really low. And that was my transition from sales to coming into what I'm doing now in coaching. There was a massive debacle around that, but I felt I failed at the time. Now it's very different. 3 years on, 4 years on, it's like that was the ultimate blessing and challenge that I'm so happy.
That was a pivotal moment for you. That was
100%.
Yeah.
So in that sense, like I feel like now I can't see it as failure at all, but at that time,
totally.
In the present moment, that was like,
good point. I love what you said there. Like now you don't see it as failure. At the time you may have, but you've obviously educated yourself now. You've developed yourself, and you can see it from a different light.
Yep.
And you're blessed by what is actually the doors that's actually opened for you.
100%. It's all about. I think true wisdom is when you're able to speed up that process. And I've read a lot of special books, Hermetic Principles and all the timeless teachings. It's about if you perceive it as negative in the present moment, it's because in the present moment you just haven't seen the positive side. And sometimes it takes you a few days, weeks, and some people it takes them years. But when you do see the full circle, it's like, whoa, that wasn't what I thought it was. So wisdom, the speed of wisdom is how fast you can bring conscious awareness to both sides. Yeah.
I'm just doing my own thing over here, taking notes and
it's all good, man.
Learning as we go. That's why this podcast called Learn, Grow, Do, Repeat.
We both have the same value there. I think learning is probably in my top 5 values, and it's something that I assess myself on all the time.
Yeah, good.
That's why, even the name of your show, how cool is that? It's
totally.
Thanks,
man. Yeah. Well, it's a cycle. It is like you continually learning, you continually evolving, you continually growing, and you got to implement. You got to do it. It's not you just learning everything. You got to put it into action and use it. So, love that. Awesome answer, man. If you could choose to have lunch with any one person in the world, who would it be, and where would you have it? And you've got a 2-hour time limit.
Where would I have it? It's probably just at mine. But
come to mind, bro. I'll make you dinner.
Come to mind. There's so many to pick, man. Is this presently living or anyone past?
Anyone, past or present.
Yeah, probably Viktor Frankl. Yeah.
And at your place, what would you cook?
I would get takeout, dude.
Uber Eats.
I'll fry an egg.
Fry an egg. Let's get mum to make a chili chicken.
Yeah, I have to call mum and be like, hey, I've got
a friend coming over. Yeah.
Problem with that, she'll be like, can I join? But yeah,
totally. Do I have to? Yeah. Let mum come and join. Absolutely. What was 10-year-old Moses like?
Very observant. I'm still like that now. I was very observant. And I was always told at those ages, I was mature for my age, and I just took that on as an identity of myself. And I think I wasn't a kid, put it that way. I just never had that childhood phase. Yeah.
Awesome. I love that. Second last question. You've done well to get this far, and we've done really well. You give me some really good answers. What's one trait, skill, belief, value, quality that you would say is consistent in the your closest or top 5 friends or acquaintances? But what's the top one? But what's the one that's most important to you, Moses?
For me, or for what
for you.
Inner grit. For me, it all starts within. You got to delve within to do anything. It starts from the inside. And to me, I love the word grit, and I named some of the products that I run as well. Inner grit. It's inner grit. And at the end of the day, if you really want something, to me, there's just no excuses. I follow the same guys you follow, like Tim Grover, those sort of teachings where it's just like you lock in. I think you 100%. Posted something literally the last 24 hours, maybe. It was like someone just going to just do it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was a guy from Transformers.
That's the one.
I can't think of his name.
I saw it somewhere. I'm pretty sure it was you.
Yeah.
It's like I watched that, and to me, I just see truth. I literally just look at it, and I'm like, do you know what the funny thing is? The secrets of life aren't secrets. That's the crazy thing. They are no secrets. I'm in the middle of writing that now. There's a book that I'm doing now, and it's like the secrets in life aren't secrets, and I'm gonna just go through 10 of them because, like, at the end of the day, man, I'm like, what are we all looking? We're looking for this special source, or I need a coach for this or a mentor for this, and I'm in the game. So when I speak to people, I'm like, do you know what? A lot of the stuff I'm going to talk to you about, like we're going to show you application of these skills, but they're not secrets. Do you know what I mean?
Correct. Like, the idea of it. Like we've all heard the idea or the saying or the quote or the process, but let me show you how to actually use it in your life.
100%.
Yeah, good. Last question, Moses. Last one for you. Here he is.
Okay.
Your favorite superhero?
Kobe.
You know what? Because it's Kobe Bryant, I'm going to pay that.
Yeah. Because you're looking for someone from Marvel or something, is that right?
I'm not looking for anything. I'm looking for your favorite superhero.
Because I think our heroes are like humans on Earth. To me, I see a hero in someone that is actually alive and that exists, that goes through the same things we go through.
Good.
And there's a lot of traits from, obviously I think a lot of people do know he's one of my favorite players. So.
Absolutely. No, love it. Well, man, that's rapid fire. Well done. That was good fun. Like I said, there's some good takeaways there. And I love what you said about the speed of wisdom. I really love that. Yes. That was a nice little piece, and we'll definitely have to dive a little bit into that. But I have to ask, how's the ankle going?
It's good, man. I was playing ball last night. It still swells up. Like I think it's July, November. So it's like 5 months. I'm doing like way ahead of the game. Just like it's actually quite a miracle. Like I don't talk about it much, but I've tracked everything and vlogged everything, and I've been able to use all the techniques that we know about from both a physical standpoint, but also a mental standpoint and a spiritual standpoint, to just go. The body literally is limitless, and the potential you can push it to is
and just for everyone listening and watching that probably don't know, like how 5 months ago Moses' ankle was facing the wrong way, playing basketball, and I love how you put it on social media. I was like, what a legend! Like that's mad. You probably would have got some messages being like, that's disgusting. How do you even do that?
I did. I put a warning there. I put a picture up first that said don't swipe, because I'm trying to I cover all markets.
100%. You have to. When you said don't swipe, I was like, I need to swipe to have a look what's going on over here. And then your ankle.
That's another thing that I teach as well. It's like what you say not to do, people do. So let's do that.
Well, it's like those, don't press buttons where they need to open emergency doors. What does everyone do when they walk past? Press it. But I'm glad to hear it's working, and I'm glad to hear that, like you said, it's like, the body can do miracle things, but it does all start from within, and you've been able to do, and we'll definitely touch on that throughout, and I want to make sure we do. And
I'll follow your lead.
Yeah, definitely. One more question I have for you as well, not on rapid fire, it's outside of rapid fire. For you, Moses, what's one thing you've learned about yourself during this COVID period?
adaptability is something you need to master. And I mean, when I say master, I mean it's 10 out of 10. And it was lucky. See, what happened with me is as that sort of happened, I had already done quite a lot of readings and understanding on business and how, pivoting and adapting to certain circumstances is one of like the traits that all the top guys have. And I was probably about 6 weeks ahead going to myself in my mind, I kind of hear this thing going on out there, like I'm seeing some places, we all probably just thought, well, it's not really going to come here, or it's not going to be as crazy as we think, because this is like first time for the planet, right? In our
100%.
generation. And I was like, I started a few things to already kind of be aware and ready for it. But you don't action that all the way because you're like, well, I have backup. But
Correct.
It was like I went smashing straight into, all right, everything goes online. And so for pretty much April, I was just pivoting everything, which is probably the biggest blessing, because I didn't look at it as a negative circumstance or situation. I was like, you know what, this is giving me the perfect opportunity to go and master some skills that I'm maybe a 5 out of 10 on, and get them to a 10 out of 10.
I like it.
That's pretty
I like
much
it. Yeah. And I like what you said there about, in whether it's COVID or not, even before COVID, obviously a lot of the books that we would have been reading were pre-COVID, were all about adaptability and being able to pivot and come up with new strategies to do what you do and, innovate in a way. We've all had to innovate on purpose, because of COVID. We've all
exactly. And that's the thing. Like, I had a lot of ideas in my mind. I was so focusing on, see, the thing is, when you're in the box, you're working on your business, you see it from inside. Sometimes that's why we get external coaches. Like, I have my own mentors and coaches, and so do you. Like, that's what we do, right? We practice what we preach, and we know how it works. So someone outside looks at it and goes, hey, you're acing that, but this is where you'll need this at some point. You're going to need this pillar. You're going to need this pillar in your business. And what we do is we get so much leverage and return from what we're doing here. So you're capped at a growth level. You're comfortable, by the way. You're comfortable at that growth level. And
it's all going well. Yeah.
But it's like, well, what do you really want? And how will this actually help you get to the next level? Yes. So do you wait till it's uncomfortable to get that pillar built, or should you start it now? So I kind of started earlier. And that was off the back of, again, doing self-development and learning, which is what 100%. We value. I went to the course in Feb this year, just before the lockdowns happened, not knowing it would happen. And I was learning, I went specifically to a course to learn about how to push businesses online and get them if I wanted to make it 100% online, how would I do that? Okay, so that's what I wanted to learn. And then I literally come back 6 weeks later, like, that's what you have to do. So it's like, okay, implementation. And this is the thing, I started my own podcast as soon as my ankle went off, which was July. August, I spoke to Rashan, which is a friend that we know, and I was like, what do you do? How do you do it? Bang, bang, bang. He just gave me the steps. I implement, and then I did like 10 interviews in like 4 weeks. Do you know what I mean? I can take action, because I was locked on in my crutches, and I was like, what else can I do? What else can I build if I'm going to be hampered? So my events got canceled. I couldn't go out, blah, blah, blah.
Smart, man. Smart. I like it. Yeah. And I like what you said there, just being able to sort of just like realize that, cool, I can't do live events. I've injured myself. What's another way I can give value? What's another way I can, grow my business? What's another arm I can do? Podcasting, cool. Content creation, cool. Let's go and do that.
Yep.
Let's make it happen. No, I love that. So you spoke earlier about the transition from, from a sales in real estate to doing what you're doing now. And at the time it was like a failure, and it probably hurt and it sucked, and it was everything that it probably shouldn't have been.
Yep.
Share us a bit more of like, one, how you got into real estate and your journey sort of there. And then what was that pivotal moment? Like, what happened for you to sort of say, I want to go on and do something else?
Okay, I'll make it super condensed because there's so many aspects to it, but I'll make
that's another whole podcast episode, that conversation.
Exactly. It's a separate situation, but it's very much when I speak in today's time, in the present moment, I'll speak about it. It will sound like it was easy, because I've already seen all the blessings and the benefits to all the challenges. I want to pre-frame by explaining that before I go into it. But long story short, it's like, I went into real estate because when I was pretty much in year 10, 11, my mom and dad had been split for a while. Okay. And in the Indian culture, the head of the home, the oldest son kind of takes over. It's a very cultural thing. And it's like, okay, so I was like, I'm going to have to kind of take responsibility here. And when they actually split up, I was 11, 12, probably about there, just before my teens, I'm pretty sure. And it was like, it was pretty bad. Mum, dad split. We didn't see it coming. It's in Indian families, in our Singapore, Malaysian background, it's kind of like, that's a very not happening thing. The family comes in, a whole bunch of stuff will happen before you can even get to that point. But for us, it was like, bang, it just happened. And then mum had to go to Singapore with us four. I was the oldest at the time at 11. And then I had 3 younger brothers, and my youngest brother was about 4 or 5, right? And it was just, I won't go into the details of how the split happened, but it was a
Mm-hmm.
very messy, with certain abuses, right? And it basically, so we went to Singapore because grandma had to look after us. I had to fly with my three younger brothers in the plane alone because my mum had to be here to deal with courts. So it was like, oh, you're going to fly, you're going to meet grandma in Singapore. I was like 12. I was like, keep them on the plane. The stewardess will be there to help you there, where your kids on a flight alone, blah, blah, blah. But I remember there was points in my mind, I was like, I've always been told I can handle things. My mum was always someone that encourages me. She always has always sort of that first, this inner grit that I talk about, side note, and this thing about being able to do stuff comes from her because she's always had this belief that I can do whatever I want. And as a kid, you hear that, you just take it on as, yeah,
100%.
okay, handle it.
Gospel,
So I did that. For me, it was normal. It was like, okay, go see grandma, go do that. So when did that, came back, then they try to get back and work things out, but it just never ever got back together. So now mum's single mum dealing with me in high school, my second brother in high school, the two younger brothers in primary school. She's dropping everyone everywhere, trying to handle house alone, cook, clean, two different schools. And I remember seeing the stress. Okay. And I was like, okay, this is hard. And she would say stuff like, financially, it's going to be tough for me. I don't think I can hold the house, da, 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 da. And then I was like, okay, so I need to go to work. I can't really go to uni. You know what I mean? Like we need income ASAP. So I told her, look, maybe I should just join you, because she was doing real estate. I was like, maybe I should just join you. Like, I don't know what it is, but I can come and look at how you do some stuff, help you as an apprentice. So I started to do that towards the end of school a little bit, just to check things out. It coincided with a point in life where in school, I was always a straight A student, but end of year 10, 11, because of all the stuff that was going on, mom and dad were coming back, I just went off the rails and my grades dropped. The crowds changed. It was when I started basketball, and sometimes with that crowd comes a certain culture. So, you had your weed, your drugs, you had like nightlife, you had all this. And it's like, I just went completely the other way. And I read in my head, I was like, I know where I'm going. Mom didn't really know. I was like, I know this is going off like badly. The grades are going to drop massively if I even go to the end of year 12. I'm not going to make this. And the identity was, how do you, as a straight A student, now I'm not that guy anymore. I'm the guy that goes to the lower classes, not the top classes. And all this identity crisis was happening. And I didn't know it was identity crisis at that time.
Of course.
But I remember I was just like, this is not who you are. And I was like, oh, if I can go to work straight away, it's like an escape. I just go to work. I don't have to worry about TE scores. At that time, it was like one of the things you had to do to get into med or get, and I'm Indian, so it's like lawyer, doctor, engineer.
Yeah, exactly right. Or accountant. Yeah.
But I had a bit of benefit because my mum was able to see that, you know what? Yes, we probably need some help at the home in terms of income. I believe in you, so if you want to do something different, that's fine. And so she was like, yeah, if you want to try and see what real estate's like, that's fine. So I just jumped on that, and I was like, I went and helped her a bit, liked it. Left school year 11. I didn't do year 12, so I never ever got to the end.
Same as me. Yeah, nice.
Yeah, I didn't know that, so now I find out.
Yeah.
So and that's the thing. Not many people know that, because I love it. I didn't realize at the time it's one of my biggest parts of my story. People are like, you actually don't even have year 12. I'm like, nah, I don't even have year 12.
Wow.
So what actually happened is I started learning the sales game, and the sales game is you're with hundreds of properties with different buyers and different sellers, and that combination of those three changes every single appointment. So you're getting street smart fast. You're getting street smart fast in sales, in communication, in body language, in people's social skills, the communication, people's moods. Like I didn't know I was learning this. This is all what was, there's.
Of course, you just thought it is what it is.
Yes. And so in my classes, like I run, there's those 4 levels of learning. You don't know what you don't know, then you know about it, then you know, and you're teaching it, and then it's like you just don't even know that it's built in. Yeah. So I was like, that was what was happening in my real estate life. So end up I started doing that. Mum then stopped doing real estate. I worked in real estate for pretty much 14 years now.
Wow.
And like straight from 18, like I did my license at 17 because I left school. So I went and did the registration for sales, got into it, stayed in it. And that's what, when I met you, which is 4 years ago now, I was kind of ending my real estate time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that all happened because I did end up acing the game. Like I got really good at it. Started in the really, as they say, the ghetto parts of Perth, the parts where you have to walk in as a rookie and start, right? The low price points. I remember houses with 250, 300,000. I'm selling stuff at part state housing. Do you know what I mean? Like different hard deals. But all of this, again, I look at it now as blessings, because what ended up happening is I had to work the 200, 300, 400, $500,000 properties and deal with people that were on Centrelink, to parents' money, to gifts, to struggling, to one income, to and then work with them, get the sale. Then I went to 500 to a million. And then I was selling people that owned businesses, that had money. Then I was going 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 mil. And it's like, then you're dealing with entrepreneurs, international. And so all of these was like learning different types of people, different types of problems, and how to, when you're in real estate, by the way, the whole game is negotiating what he wants and she wants, or he wants and she wants. And then on top of that, if there's a couple, then they both want different things, and these two want different things. And then add on that, maybe one's getting divorced, and then add another one wants more money. Like, so you're just sitting there and you're like putting this together. So I started to become like a master surgeon of how to make everything work, right? That was,
love that.
After all, like, it's not actually the sale. Like, it's not the dollar of the price of the house. Like, I can do that without thinking. It's actually how to keep them happy if we do the conditions this way, and how to keep these people happy if I have to extend a settlement or change a time frame. Or sometimes it's an identity thing. They're only moving because of something that's deep inside their mind about a house change, or I need this, or it's time to change and upgrade this. But it's all maybe based on some perception that isn't solid at the time. So you're adjusting that, and then they don't need that anymore, or they need it. And so now you become a helper, you become a coach, you become, I sometimes told myself, like, I'm counseling the situation most.
Love that.
So that's what happened. So I did well in that. I got into real estate because of what happened with mum and dad splitting from school. Didn't get to choose it. It was just because mum did it. It's such a blessing now, because it's probably one of the best paths of life to get into what I'm doing now, which is knowing and understanding people on all levels, because I had to deal with it under stress. And if people like to know when you're under stress, like, one of the biggest times people are in that position is financially, and normally moving house, because it's your biggest asset. In 80-90% of people, that's like your biggest asset, where you're doing stuff. So like, you're dealing with people when they're under pressure, and the skill of a coach to me, or the skill of someone that's able to help, is you got to do it when there is the pressure.
Totally.
You have to be able to
not
do
on the
it
good days. Yeah, the good days
exactly.
is all well and good.
Also when they challenge you, like the client or the property or the deal I was doing, they might think you're the bad guy. You're not the bad guy. You are the good guy. And it's about you putting the ego down and understanding, look, I get where they are now. I'll take the hits while I adjust the situation. And then finally they go, whoa. And this is when I get the biggest testimonials. Of the most happy clients are the ones that actually were bad to you, or they were upset with you,
or a bit skeptical.
and they're like, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I love
the value in what you do.
And that all trained me to what I'm doing now. So the reason real estate very quickly ceased and stopped, in a nutshell, is the game of real estate, unless it's a very small percent where it's done with full integrity. And one of those things is very high to me, the value, like how you do it. I'm not about smashing 10 sales out a month because we got to hit a number this month. I'm more about, let's deal with the situation. So I was doing well, but the company and the team that I kind of worked for, it started to move a bit, because as we won and got higher and higher in terms of stats and awards, I kind of felt sometimes there's a breakdown within why we're actually doing it. It's like, you have to also understand what the client wants, not just what the sales numbers need to be.
Yeah, good point.
And it's a gray area, because you can argue, if you want to be on the side of pushing the sale, you can argue it with enough positives to make it seem like it's okay. And I think we both can talk about, like, for example, the media now, right? You can paint a picture on one side, really what you want to, and you can also paint a really good picture on the other side.
Absolutely.
And the same way, just for the audience to understand, it's not like I'm saying I don't want to say who did wrong or not. It's just like, there's points where if you feel within you're not aligned, that's what I felt. I just felt I wasn't aligned.
Yeah.
And I won't go into the detail. And so there was already some thoughts about, maybe I should either do this on my own, as in run my own office, or work within my own team, like have my own PAs and not work with a series of reps under the office, or start seeing what else I like to do. And there was a coach, and I've had many trainers and coach, and one of the ones that we've worked with, he was like, hey, what are you going to do when you're 40? Or maybe it was 50. And I was like, yeah, I don't see real estate as the thing. And he goes, okay, what about 40? And I said, don't see that as well. All right, what about 35? And I think when he asked me this, I was probably 26, 27. He was like, what do you think about 30, 35? And I was like, yeah, maybe. And that's when he went, well, if it's a yeah, maybe, then what you need to do is work out between now where you are, which is 27, and the year maybe, what's going to change and what's going to be there. Because this midlife crisis thing people hear about, they suddenly feel like they want more, they want to do something else. And then at that time, they make the rush decision. Versus if you see that 40 is not going to be this forever, or 50, that means you're going to be finding something else. Let's start working about what you like, where your passion is, and build something there. Yeah, and the thing is, I wasn't 100% sure what it was going to be, but I just knew, like, I don't see myself running home opens every weekend till I'm 50, right? Yeah. And I loved helping people. One of my favorite things is seeing someone see in themselves what I see in them, but they haven't seen yet. I love that about awakening like the
I like
fire.
that, man. I really like that.
And that's
I
the
like
thing.
that.
So I would have those moments in real estate, but they're limited because they're only within a real estate context. Buying,
Totally.
getting someone their dream home, getting a crazy price, making sure someone could sell a property in time so they get the dream job overseas, whatever it might
Correct. Whatever it is, yeah.
be.
Yeah.
So now
Yeah.
I'm doing this. And then the blessing about all the dilemma that I had with real estate and the sudden stop was like, I saw it as, man, I didn't get a chance to go and maybe just run my own office or transition from it the way I wanted to. It was sort of, we just didn't connect anymore. We felt there was a breakdown. It just stopped. And I was like, man, I wish I had a bit more time to build my next phase. But it was like the truth and the what I see now is I had to be doing this earlier. It was like, it was God saying, hey, you know what? I'm just going to give you a bit of a nudge because, you're in the nest.
Yeah.
And like the eagle does, it's like
Totally.
from a spiritual reference. It's like, you got to push. Like if they don't jump, then, and I know they're
Correct.
destined for bigger things, then I'm going to push you out because
100%.
you haven't seen it yet. And then the part that's funny for me is like, I like seeing that in others. And I'm like, why haven't I just pushed? I've seen it myself. There are moments where I see it myself, but I needed to do the training and the coaching, which is where, again, like we met 4 years ago at some training events.
Correct.
I've done tons of different training events. We've met on one of them, but it's like, when I put it all together, I'm like, do you know what? The thing is, why don't you just go and do what you really like to do? And then ever since then, like, it's just been a journey of building this whole new brand, this business that I do. And I love every part of it. Like, it's
you can tell you're in your lane. Like you can tell you're in your element. You can tell you're in that thing that you get excited about. And I love what you said there about, 50, 40, 35, 40 and the maybe, and starting to think about, well, cool, like what might that be? I personally think as well, man, and let me know what you think, is that sometimes people do rush into something else because they know they want to do something else. So it's like anything else is better than what I'm doing now.
Correct.
And they rush into something that's probably not really what it is. And then 2 or 3 years time later, they're like, oh, I don't really like this anymore. Something else. And then they sort of feel like I can't have what I want. I'm not destined to achieve what I want to achieve. And then they start that negative whole self-talk cycle.
Yeah.
But I like what you said there as well. And about finding what it is now. Did you ever get, like, how did you come across what you do now? Like, did someone tell you like, man, Moses, you really helped me get a result? Did you learn something and say, well, I want to go and teach this? Like, how did you get into the coaching and the speaking and doing what you do now?
This is the thing. So now when I look back, the signs were there for a long time. I just never recognized them because I used to have a lot, like this happened a lot. And I would always feel humbled by it, but I would not take ownership of it. Meaning I'd be like, oh, wow, like, thanks. But I didn't see it that way.
Yeah.
Stuff like I'd help someone in the office would tell me a problem they have and I'll just share my thoughts, my insights and try to help. And it helped. Like it would happen.
Got a result.
Yeah, it would happen many times. Like I had no coaching experience. I have no mentorship experience. Like this is 10 years ago, 5 years ago. It's like, I don't have that, but I did have all the street smart knowledge. Like I said, through the real estate time of dealing with things where there were so many times I knew I was helping people. And then when people started to see, like I had a bit of, they'd be like, oh, go talk to Mo. He might be able to help you. The young, certain social circles or certain people, like they'd have a problem. They'd just come to me. And it's like, it wasn't even like an effort for me to, I'd love the part of that helping. Like I just go all in. And then when I got the feedback, it'd be like, okay, that's cool. Like it's, it's not like a
thank
fluke.
you. Like, yeah.
It's like, thank you, but I wouldn't take ownership. Like, yes, I own that. I can
my thing. Yeah.
Yes. And then I'll just go do real estate. Like, and then it'd be happening more and more and more and more and more and more. And I've never seen myself as someone that would be actively saying, hey, I'm a person. This is my full-time role in life now. I do this. I've always been, I'm a real estate agent. That's what I am. The identity between your job and who you are as a person, I have not split that yet. You see, and that's what you learn through self-development. When one of my earliest trainers, he was like, when people say, "What do you, who are you? What do you do?" A lot of people answer with the job. So like, I'm an electrician, or I'm a scaffolder, or whatever it might be. But that's not who you are. That's a role you play.
Yeah, 100%.
The essence of who you are in terms of like your soul's calling. That's who you are. And sometimes what you're doing in terms of a job just to provide an income, you take that as your identity, but it's not. So I then went, okay, I'm going to have to start owning this. And then like I said, it was happening so much more that I was like, I actually can help people. I need to now believe in myself. Like, why don't I actually take ownership of this and go do it? And then as soon as that happened, it was like, okay, if you are going to do this, you got to be the best at it. Meaning right now I've been helping and everyone's saying that's like, hey, great, great, great. But I'm like, I want to have more tools. Like I want to have more ammunition.
Totally.
If they come up to me, if I get to a point where it's like, what else? Maybe they need this. So I need to go learn that. So then I went and read all these books and listened to all these podcasts. Go, and then when I find something that I'm like, that needs to be mastered more, find the trainer, the best in the world at that specific point, and invest the money and train.
Learn. Yeah.
Like I said, you can't save your way to success. You can only invest your way to success. This is something that people need to understand. A lot of people, they like see an event or see a training or see something like, buy an audiobook or buy a training or get a mentor, get a coach. Or they're saving the money. They're like, we'll put the money here first or put it there first. I'll buy the cheapest thing I can first. So the mentality, the fact is you have to accept that you're saving, your mentality is I'll save and then I want to be successful. You got to invest to be successful. 100%. So you got to find the things and do it, right? So that's what I end up putting tons of cash on events. We know what we've spent on certain events. Totally. Like we spend money to learn shit. And then I take that and then I don't just I come back home and I master that. And now when people come to me, I'm so confident because you can come up to me with any problem. And if I don't know at the time, I'll say give me a day. I'm going to just think about it. I'll come back to you and I guarantee you it'll help. Yeah.
Love that. I love that. And again, that shows the humility, that shows that you're okay with you because you're like, you know what, if I don't know the answer, I'm not going to make up some shit or I'm not going to pretend like that's not even a problem you have. It's like, you know what, that's a really valid question. I don't have the answer for that. Give me 24 hours. I'll come back to you.
100%.
And I think you gain a lot more respect that way as well. I like what you said there about the feedback. I said it in one of the previous episodes as well. And it's something that it was very similar to you, like you said, about the feedback and hearing people and helping people. For me to be able to get into what I do now as well is I remember I was probably like maybe 18 and a half. And I was seeing this girl and we had this argument and she's like, you always just know what to say to make things better. And again, at the age of 18, I didn't even know what a coach or a mentor was. And like similar to what you said, didn't have any of the training, but she's like, you always just know what to say to make things better. And then as I started doing, more coaching and more speaking, and even after the first few podcast episodes, and I'll let you in on a little, and everyone listening as well now, a little secret. Prior to COVID, the podcast was just fun. Doing it, honestly, I didn't really believe in myself enough that I would actually have a good show. And I had good episodes. It was more just like, yeah, you want to be on the podcast, Moses? All right, sweet. We'll just do it. And whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I actually took ownership of it and said, I'm going to be consistent during COVID, that the next 5 to 10 people that I had on the show, once the recording finished, they sort of said to me, they're like, man, you're an incredible podcast host. You need to do this more often. This needs to be heard and seen. This wasn't from the people listening. This was from the person on the show. Yeah. And it was from those compliments. I'm like, I need to do more of this.
Yes.
But then it's all well and good to hear it externally. But then I needed to own it. I needed to say, Jamie, go out there and do more of it. Get more episodes, do more content, film more stuff, do more audios, whatever it is, because people are taking something from it.
It's 100% true, man. I've watched heaps of your clips that come up on social, and it's
Appreciate it.
There's the thing is, it's 100% true. I don't care if it's 100 people or one person. There's people that message me based on a little clip that you see, and this is one of those things where I say the secret isn't a secret. It's correct. The truth is, if you take action, like you said, at the end of the day, you heard all the stuff, and I heard all the stuff too. We still have to take action inside. We got to go, I accept that, and I'm now going to act on it. Now, what is the action? So you'll obviously break that down. But
of course,
you're an action. I know you're an action taker. One of the big action takers out there. Obviously, you're locked in. I know you do your stuff. I've seen the way that you
appreciate it, man.
Content. So there's mutual respect there. It's such a big thing. And I know you would agree. It's not a secret, right? You're for anything that happened, you just you're like, okay, let's do it. Even this podcast, I have a wedding coming up and I was like, let's do it. And then it's you know what? Let's just do it this Saturday because I can put in and we'll do it.
It took us 10 minutes of back and forth messages. What about this, that? No, fuck it. Let's make it happen.
Just do it now. Yeah. And this is the thing. So I always, it's again another Tony Robbins thing, and this is speaking about coaches and trainers. He has coaches and trainers too. He says, I still get that. So if the number one guy that the world knows is out there in this game is saying that he's still a trainer and coach and needs people he talks to, well, who are we? So we got to keep playing the game. So I always say to my students, if I'm teaching here, it means I'm learning here, so I'm teaching here and I just keep moving up, I'm moving levels up. And then I tell the student, if I'm teaching you this, at some point you're going to be where I am, and you're going to pass it down. And this is the paid forward thing.
100%,
paid for that movie. I don't know if you've watched that movie.
I haven't. No.
Yeah, check that movie. I watched maybe when I was, it would have been early teens, maybe mid-teens, early teens. I don't know what it was again, but there was a moment in time where I distinctly remembering I'm a kid watching it, and I was like, I am inspired. When you get goosebumps. Or tears of inspiration, as they call it. Like there'll be when you're alone and you're like, you just have this idea and you're like, "Ooh, I just feel something." That to me, that's spirit calling, right? And I remember watching, I'm like, I want to do something that's similar to this movie, what this movie presents and teaches.
Created.
Because it was literally about we're all of us in life right now are going through a separate journey. So like when you think about your experiences in life, so Jamie and his, if I speak from let me use the language this way, in his avatar, his body, Jamie's body. So that's the tool you have, and you're out on Earth now playing this game, right? And you have a series of experiences. So I'm like, okay, if you have these series of experiences, I'm not going to have that same series of experiences as you. We might be at the same event, so we would have similar experiences maybe through that event, and then we both go out again. And then everyone else, and there's 7 billion plus of us, right? So I'm like, everyone's having this, and you know how many lessons and blessings and learnings we get on separate journeys?
100%.
There's no point holding all those tools and those blessings that God gives you in your cylinder, in your avatar, in your mind, and just get to the end of life. You take that tool, and because someone else hasn't had that experience, and be like, let me share, let me give, let me teach all this stuff. And that's when I went, if we all start to do that, like that's why I like anyone in this game, it's like you're sharing gifts of life, which they say you can't buy experience. Is that true? So if you can't buy experience, and that's one of the best teachers, it's ideal to share and teach that. And I'm now becoming a master. Like my game is, how can I master how to teach a certain technique or a certain metaphor or a certain learning in such a way that they will never forget it. That's what I'm learning now, because the teachings are all there. Like we said, a lot of the time
content's there. There's no new content.
There. Yeah. But Moses has to go, what's the way that my DNA, my soul's expression will teach this so that it's lasting? Okay. And then you'll have a different style. And there's no right or wrong. It's just that there's going to be a series of people that look at Jamie and go, okay, got the Italian background, the culture, I resonate with what he teaches, see what he likes, I see the pictures, and you have your DNA. It's like, to me, it's the spiritual DNA, the body, your culture, your background, where even the country you're from, and how you present yourself, just your appearance. People look at me, there'll be guys that just don't resonate. There'll be guys like, oh, I can see a bit of basketball, he likes purple. There's so many things happening on an unconscious level. But what I'm saying is that there's a lot of people that will just, on an unconscious level, go, I have some rapport with this guy. So my thing is, give off the gifts that God has given you, the experiences you have, and people will learn from that. Because when we combine it, that's when we actually make things happen. The whole thing now with the world, to me, a lot of the hiccups and the problems is everyone's not willing to work together. Everyone's wanting to sort of, 100%. Whose side are you on? Whose side are you on? What's wrong? What's right? Let's talk about an argument versus how can this all work together?
How can we just sit together? And you know what? That's really powerful, because I think COVID has like leveled the playing field in a way, and it's I think more than ever people are collaborating more, people are engaging more, people have partnered up more, because we're all in a space where like we need to innovate. Like we said at the start, we need to be creative, we need to think of new ways of doing things. So why not help each other? Whereas pre-COVID, it was like me versus you. It was me versus the world. And I like the fact that, yes, like you said, there are still a lot of arguments, and there's all the the US political side of it, and it's just non-stop. What side of COVID are you on? Do you believe in it or not? Like, there's so many different arguments. We can go for hours on it. But then there comes a time where it's like, well, why don't we just put all that aside and just team up and make the world a better place? Like, why can't I do my part to help the million people I can help? You help the million people. Someone else helps a million people. Someone else helps a million people in their lifetime. All of a sudden, we've just passed it on, like you said, and the ripple effect really does kick in. What would you say, sorry, Moses, that are, 3 key elements and things that people really just need to, it could be a belief, it could be a mindset shift to really achieve that ultimate level of fulfillment and success and happiness in their life? Because I can tell by your knowledge that you're well educated.
Yes.
You've obviously read a lot, learned a lot. You've helped so many people. What would you say as probably, the top 3 things that you see consistently that people should really get these 3 things right, and you're on the path to some pretty cool things?
So the key word there was to be fulfilled. I think we said, what are the 3 things for them to be fulfilled? If you're looking for fulfillment, I learned this. It's about it's understanding polarities of the world and not being swayed by the polarities. If you have the wisdom and the maturity to go, I can see all this stuff happening in the masses, I'm not going to join sides or the negative or the positive. So you're able to stay balanced. That's one of the things that allows you to have fulfillment, because when you get too charged on one side, whether it's positive, by the way, or negative, a lot of people only look at the negative side. It's like, don't go feeling down, don't feel depressed, avoid anxiety, let's try to be all positive, positive, positive. My thing is that's a one-sided world. And whenever you try to go towards a one-sided world, you are setting up yourself for disappointment.
Mm,
So that's where fulfillment goes away, because there's no such thing as 100% just be positive and life's great.
totally.
Fact is, life is like a magnet. There's the negative and the positive, and that's just how it is. The real masters are balanced. They just know how to see that's
Mm,
happening for that reason, that's happening for that reason. The way I look at it is, if you think something is super good, super positive, like you just think like, wow, this is an opportunity of a lifetime. My question would be, what is something negative about that situation that you're unconscious to right now? Because you might have someone might come up to you with a joint venture deal, and you're just in this fantasy. My God, it's so good. I got to buy
what a
this.
deal. What am I? Yeah. Yeah.
And that's where you know, if you're really balanced, you'll go, I must be missing something.
Yeah.
And that's where the warning. But and then on the negative side, it's like, this is really bad, really bad, really bad. And you want to feel depressed and low and down, and you're like, life's shit. I'm gonna say, well, hold on. What's the blessing or the hidden
Totally.
benefit that you're not conscious about?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's one of the key
Mm,
pieces of wisdom in terms of getting towards
I like
fulfillment.
that, man.
Second
I
thing
like
I'll
that.
talk about is, you asked for three, is I'm reading this now, so it's fresh on my mind. And it's literally, this book has gone up to my top 10 straight away. It's The Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. And he talks about, it's not about what you do, how you do it. It's about what's the meaning behind what you do. So
Mm,
try and, if you're taking action on something, and you're in a job, or you want to change job, or you feel like you're at midlife crisis, or whatever it is, there's no point, like you said before, Jamie, so people sometimes just rush and jump into something because, like, this is not what I'm doing, this is what I'm going to do. This is where you go pause and go, what's the meaning behind it versus
mm,
what's the benefit and the drawbacks, because sometimes that's not based on some perception, and it's based maybe on a little bit of a falsehood. I go, if something's truly meaningful to you, you will move heaven and earth to make it
100%.
happen. So if you're going to move heaven and earth to make it happen, then in your mind, sometimes the pain is not even pain. It's that thing.
Mm,
It kind of leads to the third thing, which is the differences between eustress and distress. And I don't know if you've heard that term. There's EU stress and then distress. Distress is when something's freaking stressing you out, and it actually has an effect on your body. It's not good for your organs, whatever else. And that's usually where you're doing something outside of your values. So you're doing something outside of your core values, where either you're doing it because some super ego has pushed you to do it, or you're doing it to meet some expectation. And then you're feeling stressed, maybe because the results are there. That's a distress, and it's not good for you, because if you live in that state for a long time, it's bad for you, right?
mm,
Eustress is where there's a healthy stress, in a sense that you're doing stuff within your values. Say you're building this business, or you're starting a podcast, but you're in love with it. You want it to happen. And no matter what pain happens, even with the food business, the food vending machine, like, I'll tell you now, because if it's a passion of yours and you're like, I'm going to make this happen, I want this, it's going to be my DNA on a brand out there, which is going to be my lasting legacy. Be Great, the book, this is all the stuff, this is what I'm building. Then if, let's say, the post stuffs up your order, or it's like today on the podcast, the computer went stuff.
correct. Yeah.
I'm going to wait half an hour to, delay this appointment or interview. And then you're like, shit, what do I do? That stress doesn't burn or affect
No.
you negatively, because it's in your values. It's still with something you love. And you're like, it's part of the process. It's part of my journey.
It's just
So
another
that
speed up. Mm,
yes. And that's where it's like, you need sometimes that stress, because it's going to be, no one's going to go and make some dream happen and it's all pleasure all the way, right? There's going to
yeah.
be some pains.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
the pain is so much more worth it when it's a eustress and something where it's on the way to your journey. That's where people go, okay, how do these guys sometimes deal with all these negativities? It's also one of the things that helps them is because it's actually on the way to the goal they see at the end.
Totally.
The
Totally.
vision that they have, like,
Mm.
I think I saw, it was one of your interviews, someone you were talking to, and it was like, you can't aim for something unless you can see it.
Correct.
Right? And so for
Yeah.
me, it's not just physical.
Harry said that.
That's the one. Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
not just physical. It's not like, oh, I'm gonna run around the block. I'm gonna be first to that flagpole there. Now, sometimes it's your mind's eye. You're seeing what's in your mind's eye. It's not just
Mm,
this out here. So you go, in my mind, what do I visualize? You talk about vision board, goals. But
correct.
when you think about the thing, I go, is it in your mind's eye, and how vibrant is it? And then the second part is, what is the meaning behind that goal? Because if the meaning behind the goal is strong enough, I'll tell you, it doesn't matter what the pain is. Because see, like my goal with my ankle, right? It's out, it's at 90 degrees, I'm lying down, I'm looking at it, and I love basketball. So people might not know this about me. If I have spare time and I'm hurting, I'll still go play. I
Totally.
just want to play, right? And so it's like, okay, I look at it, I'm like, this means I'm off the court for a while. But my brain automatically went, it's something I love, the game of basketball. I'm like, how am I going to make this on my way, like part of my journey? I'm like, okay, if I can heal from it above NBA athlete standards in quicker time than what they do with all the physios and
All
chiros
the
and
money they
everything.
got. Yeah,
They have
definitely.
the money, the supplements, and I don't know
Yeah.
what else they have, but they have serious shit down
You
there.
got everything. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm like, if I can heal this as a local person, just playing at my local courts, as you know, and it's like, if I can show people how to do it with the mindset and prove it by being a person that gets out of the cast the fastest, gets into the moon boot the fastest, gets out of the moon. And as I'm thinking that while I'm on the floor, I remember not feeling any pain. I had no pain because my mind was somewhere else. And I've read this from Joe Dispenza. There's a book you can read with Joe Dispenza. It talks about anything in your awareness, like your mind when it's noisy. Sorry, I've gone on a side note now, but when your mind's thinking, there's so much stuff in your mind, right? All your awareness, 100% of your awareness can be focused on something. So if you want to be, you can be like, oh, look, pain, 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 pain. But my mind went 100% of my awareness at that time just happened to be on how am I going to make this better? And so for those brief moments when you're 100% there, the awareness isn't focusing on the nerves
Correct.
sending you the pain. And this is a science. Like it literally blanks it out. You don't feel it.
Well, it's like what Kobe said about, when he done his Achilles. He's like, I
Yeah.
was on the court, I was playing, like I wasn't focused about anything else. Like, I haven't torn my Achilles, but I've done a bit of injury to it. It's painful, man.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's like, I'm on the court playing basketball. I wasn't thinking about my Achilles. I was thinking about hitting those two free throws, and that's it. And then I just walk off.
100%. And that's the thing. So like the awareness of your mind is if stuff's for me, if it's on your way, no matter what the stress, it's a you stress. It's a healthy stress, and it's a pain that's going to give you a reward.
And sometimes you may not know why it's happening, and you may not know the meaning sometimes.
Yes.
But just know that if you feel that it's on the way,
Correct.
just keep going. Like, don't stop or don't go backwards. Like, keep going, because then, like you said, you pursued that career in coaching because you had that so many feedback and so many great comments.
Yep.
You may not have known, is this what I'm going to do forever? Is this going to be my forever thing? Or am I actually going to enjoy this? But you know what? I'm going to pursue it.
Yes.
I'm going to pursue it. And there might be someone tell you, you're no good at it, and who do you think you are, and all this sort of shit that comes with it.
It always happens. Yeah.
Of course, but you still pursued it.
You still pursue it because the hate to me is like Grant Cardone says it best. Get 100 haters, then you'll get 100 fans. Get a million haters, you'll get a million fans.
Totally.
And this is that thing which I just spoke about before. It's like, don't worry about all positive or all negative. Balance. So I spoke about this on the Duke and Rashan show recently, but I'll share it with you in like 2 minutes. There's something called noospheres, NOO spheres, and it's your spheres of influence. I don't know if you've heard that term, but basically, if you can only handle 5 haters, you're only going to get 5 fans.
Yeah.
If you can handle 10, you'll get this. And this is the thing where it's like, the more you can handle, the more levels or spheres of influence you rise. And that circle of influence gets bigger, because some people have it where they can deal with 100 people, but then it'd be one cousin, high school friend, one ex. So it's actually the level goes up really quick until you get to that one person that in your mind, either on a conscious or unconscious level, you don't realize holds something in you. Like they hold a little. For me, it's just like they've got a chain and they've got you clipped, and you just think, oh, it's not that big of a deal. But I'm telling you, they're holding you by one little aspect.
Little fishing line. Yeah.
Yes. And you got to go, nah, stuff that. You're off. Like, as soon as that happens, you'll find growth. And some people go, well, man, I don't know if I do that. I don't know I don't even actually know where my supporters are going to come from. I'll say to you this, trust the universe, right? You
100%.
know what? The universe, it's balanced. It always has been.
100%.
Like the sun sets today, but it comes back tomorrow. It
100%.
always has, right? So if you're down, there's an up. To me, it's a Hermetic principle, as below, as above. Like, so wherever you want to go, these secrets are always there. So to me, it's like, if you're feeling low or you feel these haters come out, just keep doing what you do. You just watch. You'll have this random person that might have been following you for like 10 years, and they'll say, man, I really like what you did. You're like, dude, you've been following me for so long.
I never said a word.
Now see the comment, because you actually spark in them something where they're like, you know what?
Totally.
After all this time, I'm going to have to give this guy props.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I love that. Moses, was there a moment for you, like maybe now more in what you do now with the coaching and the education and training, that you realize to say, shit, like maybe I am good at this. Like maybe this is real. Like, do you remember a moment where you're like, shit, like this is real now?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you've made it. What I'm saying is that, do you remember that it's like, wow, this is going to be my thing?
There's quite a few moments. Like, as soon as my mind said, I'm going to do, like, real estate is not the thing. This is the thing. And now the point where when I'm going to find all the tools I need so that when I help someone, I'm like the best person that's going to help them. That at that point, I had already got to that point where I was like, I'm so aligned with this that every action I foresaw in my mind, like about what I was going to do, was aligned with that vision and goal, because I already had the full belief. And then every time I get like manifestations of that or proof of that is when a client just, we get that all the time, like on to the text. And I don't actually share a lot of them. It's like I just get them. I'm like, I don't want to go to the point where it's like, oh, let me just talk about this stuff. Like you say, I've made it. It's not. I don't think there's ever I've made it. I
Agreed.
believe in that thing
Agreed.
where it's like there's no such thing as the end. I'm always going to keep pushing that bar. So if I get something that I feel is, wow, this is like I've made it, I'm like, that means I've got to a certain level. What's the next level?
Correct.
There's a guy called Matt Steinway who was an agent that I used to follow. He's I'm not sure what state he's based in, but it's definitely East Coast. And he when I was young, I was probably like 19, 20, 21, early in real estate, and he came and taught a real estate class. And he used to be a bouncer on Oxford Street before he was an agent, right? So he was like, I was in the dark side of Sydney. And he's like, when I would handle things, people would be like, you're so big, you're so strong, you can handle shit and whatever. But then one of his other mates came up to him and one day and said, no matter how big you are and how you intimidate people and you get people away and you can handle yourself in the underworld as such, there's always someone bigger. So, and this guy's a big dude, like he's a big built guy, right? And then he's like, oh, that's true. As much as you want to try and think like you've got to a certain point, there's always going to be someone bigger. So even in Michael Jordan right now, there's this Michael LeBron thing. There's always someone that's going to come and chase what you have.
100%.
And if it's not LeBron, there'll be someone else. It doesn't end. So to me, I don't resonate with like I feel like I've made it. I just go,
Agreed.
there's little things that come up every time that reinforce I'm on the right path. And
Good.
that's these things.
I like that. Moses, as we start to wrap it up, this has been real powerful. It's short, sharp power, and I like it. This has been a really enjoyable episode for me, and I'm sure the listeners will get a lot from it too. But why are you successful? Like, why did you make it? Like, why did you leave real estate and not just accept it for what it is? Why did you, at the age of 17, not go back to year 12 and make real estate work? Why have you gone down this route of coaching and speaking and educating and training and mentoring and made it work? It's not about what's special about you. It's why you? Why not the other person who did the course at the same time as you, who's still working at Woolies?
Yeah. For me, I think God always has bigger plans for you. It's just that you have to accept them. Everyone's potential to me, it doesn't matter who I meet, I always see something bigger in them. That's something I feel like I have inside of me so I've seen it in myself, but I disowned it in myself early. Like I didn't want to own it because it's like, before you do self-development and any learning and any training, you're born into a world where it's based on fear. Like everything you do is based on decisions made out of fear versus decisions made out of empowerment. And this is not like a knock on a specific person or industry, but I will say, if you actually look at it from the minute you're born, also depending on how your parents are, like my dad's Malaysian, my mom's Singaporean. The culture there is you must get a good degree and get a good government type of job for safety. That's literally it. That's when you've kind of made it, right? And you must have the backup certification degree. Okay. I was brought up with those kind of surroundings. And then it's like, you can't play full out then. You can't be an empowered big person that lives life's full if you're going to follow that, because you're literally following something where you've got 3 professions to pick from. And then you have to go into those professions and try to lock out some contract, which, by the way, if you do any kind of job, it's a fixed income. So already by default, you're brought up to think that success is a limited income. Success is a degree. Success. So your success has always been in this. It's actually like they think it's a really good thing within the box they're playing in. And I've just gone, get out the box, look at the whole world, right? So for me, I think why me, I would say you can make the story cool, but it's not. It's literally in the start, it was just force. I had no choice. Mom and dad split. I was like, I have to make an income. It was not because I was inspired or I had the learning. It was like, dude, money needs to come in. So do what you got to do. What can you do? Well, I've seen mom do this. I can do this. During that journey, then I had self-belief because I read stuff and I was always, the learning part of me has never ended and never will. Like I love that. I love learning and sharing. So now the job became like, hey, if you love this and you can make an income out of this and you can pass on all this knowledge, why not keep building and growing it? So this is where the why me is like, I don't even have that question anymore. And no matter what challenge, that's why when COVID came, for example, it's like one of the biggest challenges to me in a growing business, which by the way is events and is going out there. I was just like, it wasn't even a problem. Like I literally started vlogging and I'll release it in a year, which I'm letting you know now, but it's like, I've been vlogging almost every single day, like 90% of every day since March is on a camera of what I did each and every day.
Wow.
From building the podcast to changing events to private one-on-one clients, all the interactions, all my gym sessions, all my ankle situation,
Recovery,
every single thing. So people can go, because I've always said to myself, people sometimes look at people, like they might see me or see him like, oh, this guy's already got a podcast, he's got a book, I haven't got that stuff, you know what I mean? How do I do it? I want to show people, look, there's a start for everyone at some point. Like for me, I've got to a certain point, but in this year, 2020, there was still a start point when the world went reset. So I want to show you the journey of the reset. So I'm going to show you, it's not all what you see on Instagram, like the highlight reel. Like my whole vlog's going to be about what's behind the highlight reel, because there's truth to it. It's cool to show that, because it's true. I earned it, and I did do some highlights. But also, before the highlight, by the way, here's me in my room at 3 a.m. practicing video. And I'll show you how many times I stuff it up. And like now with my private clients, when they first come on board and they're about to do the social media content that I've got, like the teachings that I do on how to build your brand, they watch some stuff about how I started YouTube videos and Instagram and my first videos on Facebook Live, which I hated doing, you know what I mean? And I show them like how many times I would record it, like 4 times on my iPhone, like a 3-minute whatever, play it back, not happy, do it again. Then I'll go, that one's good for going on social. And that whole process would take like 3 weeks, you know? Like, why is it so hard? Now I can just flick out a video. I don't even think about it. I'm almost just done. Do you know what I mean? And so but then people go, they don't see the work. So I show them, here's 3 a.m.
Totally.
Here's me like half asleep, waiting for everyone to be in bed so that there's no, and then like there was 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock here where I live, it's near like a river. So when I had to put all my coaching content instead of live events onto online modules, which I've been doing, these little cricket bugs would be like, tick, 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 tick. It picks up on the mic, bro. So I'm like, how many more things are gonna, like these were annoying, because you gotta remember it's already hard to do it. So I'm now locked in, I'm focused, I've got all the paper. I'm like, okay, whiteboard's here,
game time.
lights are right, let's go. Right, I'm sitting down. And I'm like, why? And then I'm like, oh, when does they stop? And then it goes from 11 till about 2 a.m. That's when they stop. And I was like, okay, so they stop about 1:30 to 2. So I'm like, I'm gonna have to record between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. And that's what I did. It's just what I did, because we're locked at home. We had nowhere to go. Perth was locked down. And I was like, I can't have the mic clicking 100 times. I can't
100%.
work this out. So I just changed my sleeping pattern. I'd wake up at 11. I'd do my gym, just shifted everything for like pretty much 1.5 months. Put a whole bunch of content out. Even some of the videos that you see me put out now, some of these I've done like in lockout sessions for 5 hours. Bang, 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 bang. Because it wasn't stress. It was you stress to me. When the bug started making that noise, I was like, this is on the way. And in my, I'll tell you right now, Jamie, this is the crazy thing. I've got so aligned with the stuff now that sometimes at the point of the bug, like doing that, or the challenge, or the camera maybe stuffs up, I'm already like, how is this story going to inspire?
Totally.
That's how fast, 100%. Like it's so quick.
I love that, man. Well, that was even like you said earlier, like the computer wanted to do its automatic update 10 minutes before we're about to start recording, and it goes offline, and I'm like, well, what do I do? Like I can throw my computer through the wall and I can smash it and I can crack it and I can do whatever I want, but that's not ultimately going to help the cause. But we're here and we made a cool story of it, and people now watching and listening.
Rapid fire, we go quick, we fit it
totally.
Like
and we make it happen. Like it is what it is. So again, Mo's, like that's awesome. I like what you said there about, it's all the little things that help you realize that you're on the right path and you're on the right track. So that's good. Last question. Was there ever a time that someone said something, you heard it, you read it, you felt it, that's really stuck with you? Like, is there something that, like a quote or a line or something that you repeat to yourself day in, day out when shit gets hard or whatever it is, that you just draw back on? That's where your energy is. That's where your drive is. Is there something that you have?
Yes, it's the grit. The word grit was something I saw a TED talk on it. I read a few books on it. I went in, like, I just thought, what is the thing that people have that, basically, I looked at it this way. I was like, what is something you need to have where no matter what happens and how bad it is, you can still go on the path 100%. And that was a book. David Goggins was one of the guys in the top levels that I was like, whoa, we think we're playing big. Like your shins are gone. You don't even have a proper body part, and you're still just going. So I'm like, some people will look at that and go, that's crazy. He'll have lifelong effects of that injury or whatever it might be. But I just went, but at some point, that there's still a point in life where you need to go, what is like a trait I need to have that I know if I have this and I'm like strong in this, I own this trait, you can't stop me. And for me, it was grit. And that's why, my company like that I run here is Inner Grit, and my number plate on my car is Inner Grit, because it's like, I just use it from that point of view. I'm like, it reminds me every day when I stop or I get in. It's in first. It's not just grit, it's like so many external things can happen. It's like you got to have that inside, and you got to draw on that whenever things bad happen. And I've had a lot of things happen, from the real estate transition to building this business to, there were so many hiccups, dude. Like when I started doing this, it was like you got to build a database, then the tech side, then one of my closest cousin passed away like in August 2018, and I was literally getting ready to launch events, and I had to go to Singapore. Then I come back, and then I had like just one after the other of things
you got
happening.
The crickets outside making noise.
Yeah, dude. And then COVID locked, and then I was like, man, I'm just about the day my event, I had one event in Curtin here, just was about to start. I have the email because the email came in at like 10:30 at night, and it said, hey, the lockdowns have started. We are not authorized to lock down yet from the government, but we're doing it ahead of time because we feel for our premise, we'd like to be ahead of when the forced lockdown is. So I had students ready for the next day in my class. The next day, I was messaging them at 11 p.m. night saying, don't come at 7 a.m. tomorrow, because I just got an email from here's the email from the guys. So that was like, prior to an event, by the way, which I ran for 5 days, I've got to prepare for that 5-day event,
of course,
by rehearsing and memorizing the stuff that I'm teaching for 5 days. And it's not like you do that day before the day. You got to do the 5 days in a chunks before the 5-day event. Totally. You only get a night. So I was like, it was just wiped off. And then, refunding some students who I was like, okay, fine, refund for some, no problem. Some were like, hold it, we'll do it later. But we didn't know when. How do you rebook it? So like it messed up everything. And I was like, I'm going to have to go online. And this is a bit of inside information. I'm not an online guy. I am, because I've been in real estate ever since I was 17. Everything's face-to-face. I'm outside. The PAs do all my stuff on the computer. I never touch it, right? Now I'm on this, and it's like I've never used Zoom until COVID. I never did like everything's online, and I'm like,
totally.
Again, it's God's way of going. Okay, Moses, you're learning stuff, but you need a bit of work here. So I'm going to create a circumstance so that you learn all this.
And I'm going to give it to you in a format of called COVID, and I'm going to cancel your event the night before, and you're going to have to go online and figure out how to handle people that way. And I love that inner grit. And again, it's used, it's important, it's needed on everything. Like it's not a business thing, it's not a personal thing, it's not a relationship thing, it's not a individual thing. It's inner grit goes everywhere. So I really, really have a lot of respect. And that's what
you apply to everything. You apply to relationship. Relationships aren't easy. This is the other thing. Like, I've been I'm like 6 years in now, and it's like the arguments or the fights or the disagreements like this, you got to have the grit to go, I've chosen you and you've chosen me, and we're going to make it work. A lot of times I find so many couples and people that I work with, it's like, problem. So because of problem, we're not meant to be. You're not even willing to look past that. Do you know the old school way, like my parents, just certain people that I know, things that you hold, and it's like, that's not the reason they break based on some of the reasons that I see now. Do you know what I mean? There's so much value around, like, how can we make this work?
Yeah.
So that the kids get benefits or whatever it might be. And I'm like, we sometimes now have arguments, and then like, it's like, okay, where did the miscommunication happen? It's really more that than anything. So if you have a grit to go, I've picked you in the commitment, and you apply that in relationships. If in terms of entrepreneurship, I think it's a must, because there's 100%. To me,
it happens daily, man. It happens daily.
Man, exactly.
And 100 times a day.
The most craziest things are going to happen. You get, cheated on, or someone's invoiced you something. They're doing some sort of commission deal behind the back, and you're like, what the hell's going on?
What's going on?
So for me, it's just like, what do you need so that you can't be stopped? Like, Michael Jordan, another one.
I like that. What do you need so you can't be stopped?
And that's how
that might even be the podcast title.
I love that. That's good.
Do you need? That could be your next book. What do you need so you can't be?
Stop. Yeah, that's exactly, and that's how I think about it. So I go, what traits do I need? And I work on a whole bunch of them, by the way.
Nice, man. Nice. Well, on all that, where can people find more? And because this has been like, I can't. I've got like 2 pages here, but I've got more pages on the side that I've had to move. I'm, like I said, I'm learning tons. Like, where can people learn more about like what you learn more about this, and how can I follow you?
I'm on all social. You can just put it on the podcast, I guess. I'm on all, so Instagram, Facebook. Facebook is Moses Marrion Mastery. Instagram is just my name, Moses Marrion. And I'll send you the links. You can put them on.
Yeah, definitely. I'll make sure it's in the show notes for everyone.
I'm on LinkedIn as well. So I'm on all the major platforms, really.
Yeah, good.
And that's
good.
Pretty much, yeah.
No, I love it, man. And again, it's these little insights that, you hear from a different perspective. Like you said, we've all got our own vision. We've all got our own journey. The 7 billion of us on this planet. why not share it and pass it on? And I think the way that you frame it and teach it is really, it's simple and easy to digest and use. Like, it's not too high level. It's like, I get that. Like everything that you said today makes sense. Like I've written it in a way where I can action it straight away.
Yes.
And I think that's the difference with a lot of trainers, is some try and keep it really high level to make themselves look really smart. And, oh, you can't do what I do. But I think you not dumb it down, but you've really brought it down to a level. I want you to get results.
Yes.
To do this.
No, I agree with you. I think that part is one of the other things I learned while coaching. A coach told me, and I'll share this with you, you may have heard it as well, but sometimes you know what the student needs or the audience needs or whoever you're working with, you know exactly the thing they need. And because you are so knowledgeable, you want to deliver it at a time they're not ready to hear it.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
That's your ego going, I'm a coach, I'm a trainer, I'm a mentor, whatever. You need this, just suck it up and just bang.
Yeah.
Right. So I have all the levels. You know, on a podcast, we shorten this. So I go rapid fire. I go, let's just do the nuts and bolts. But like you said, if you wanted to go into polarity or consciousness, or you wanted to go into, like right now, I could do a whole hour on what's going on with the politics.
Yeah.
Because so it's like we can go deep, but sometimes you need to go to level 1 first, then level 2, then level 3.
Yeah.
I started there, yes, and that's how it works. So that's how I teach it. Like everything starts that way. I think the key to success is also being humble, being able to start at the bottom.
Agreed.
I always make sure that during my day, I relate back to where I was and how I'm moving up. Like, so I know, dude, this is what it was like. Don't ever get to a point where, because I've seen trainers and coaches get to a level and they forget, and then value's gone. Don't ever forget. And I have a few close friends, and I'll tell you now, since live here as well, even you, I need people to message me if they ever see me and they're like, that's not the Moses. Like, see, the arrogance is coming in or the ego's going up. You know why I say that openly on a podcast? And I have like 5 close friends, and I've always told them, if you even sniff something that I'm not conscious to because I've just lost sight of what I'm doing, let me know. I build that relationship. And even with you, like, let me know, because I just feel the thing is with people.
Likewise. Yeah.
Yeah. You gotta own, like, you never get to a point where you're bigger than someone. I always see everyone's on the same path. Like, we're all studying math. Someone's at subtraction. I'm at algebra. Someone's at whatever level in math you are. We're still all freaking doing math.
Correct.
You don't judge them because at some point you were there.
Good call.
That's how I look at it.
Good call. I really appreciate it. And man, like, this has been an incredible insight into more of like who you are as a person and how your mind thinks and the value that you can give to people. So man, I'll be making sure I put that content out there for the listeners and viewers to connect with you or your website and socials. This has been incredible. Thank you so much for making the time. We've made it short, sharp, powerful for them as well to take a lot from it. Moses, I really appreciate it, buddy. Thank you so much for being on the show. And for everyone else out there watching and listening, I'll catch you on the next episode. Bye for now.
Thanks, Jamie. Look, I really appreciate your time. I have to say, I love what you do. I love the book. I still haven't read the book. I need to read the book. I need to get some of the book. I've seen extracts of it. I've seen your posts on it. I've even seen the feedback on it. What you do, like with the book, with the podcast, this inspires me. So I have to share that because I remember, seeing you stand up and say, hey, I have this idea. I have this I want to do, and like, to me, this is the grit thing, right? It's like you just had a thing you want to do. It's not like you knew like back then you would not have known there's going to be a green book or Be Great, right?
Never.
There's going to be a podcast named this. But from the inspiration side of things is for people listening, like Jamie does this with a series of different people in interviews. There's so much learning you get from it. He's then going to put the effort and the time into writing a book and then sharing it. This is where it relates to my value of the paying it forward. Because to me, dude, like you're literally passing on gems and gems and gems of information out there. And it doesn't matter how it gets to people or when it gets to people, but it's going to be out there forever. So thank you for doing that. I appreciate what you do as well. And thank you for having me.
Thanks, man. No, my pleasure, man. I really appreciate those very kind words. And again, make sure you guys out there go and connect with Moses and learn from him and take on as much of the content from as many different people as possible and create your own version of greatness in your own world. But again, one more time, thanks for everyone. Again, Moses, thank you, bro. I really appreciate it.
Take care. Be great, as you say.
Absolutely. Be great. Take care, buddy.
Take care, man.